Let's go right to NBC News chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel live from the Israel-Gaza border. Richard, what's the latest there?
One of the main focuses right now, in addition to war planning, and the head of CENTCOM has arrived, so the war planning phase is still actively underway, is establishing some sort of humanitarian safe zone for the people of Gaza, a way to get humanitarian in to the people and to prevent Hamas from taking it. All of that is still underway. And for the first time, Hamas says it is open to the possibility of freeing foreign hostages, and it's put out video to show that they're in good shape.
Israel is continuing this morning to pound the Gaza Strip on its mission to destroy Hamas, as hundreds of thousands of Israeli troops ring the area, ready for a ground invasion after Hamas killed 1,400 Israelis and took hostages, including women, the disabled, and children. Hamas continues to fire rockets deep into Israel, and in the north, from Lebanon, the powerful Hezbollah militia is firing on Israeli troops and positions along the border, threatening to open a second front. Hezbollah could even send its fighters across the border into Israel. And Iran this morning is making new threats of unspecified preemptive strikes if Israel continues its attacks into Gaza. Secretary Blinken said President Biden will soon arrive on arguably the most difficult and physically dangerous trip of his presidency.
The United States and Israel have agreed to develop a plan that will enable humanitarian aid from donor nations and multilateral organizations to reach civilians in Gaza.
The U.S. has deployed 2 aircraft carrier strike groups to the eastern Mediterranean, and 2,000 American troops are on standby. A clear message: the United States is ready to back Israel in a wider war. But there are signs of hope that diplomacy and deterrence may be working. Overnight, Hamas released a video of a hostage held in Gaza, a young woman who the group says is in good health. It's unclear when the video was taken. And in a potential major development, the spokesman for Hamas's military wing said the group is holding 200 hostages and that it is willing to release the foreigners among them, which include Americans, saying they were taken by accident and are not part of the fight with Israel. The spokesman said the foreigners will be released when field conditions are right. Iran says Hamas will free hostages if airstrikes stop. In Gaza, the humanitarian crisis is growing as hundreds of thousands follow Israel's order to move south and get out of the way of a possible ground assault. U.S. officials say discussions are underway for humanitarian supplies to enter Gaza and provide relief for the 2.3 million Palestinians cut off from food, electricity, and water.
My God. Richard, you have obviously spent your adult life in war zones. We are used to seeing your extraordinary reporting. We are not used to presidents of the United States going into war zones, and yet the president of the United States going to a war zone yet again. You were with him on that trip in Ukraine. Now he's coming to Israel. Talk about that.
So I wasn't with the president on the trip to Ukraine, but I was in Ukraine at the time, and people were surprised. This was a surprise visit. How could he be going to Kyiv? He took a train coming in from Poland, and this was as Kyiv and the rest of the country was under a Russian attack. And if you remember, U.S. officials made it very clear to Russia, do not strike. Do not even think about striking. And there was a degree of confidence that Vladimir Putin understood that. He understood the deterrence that it would not be in his interest to try and assassinate the president of the United States. Clearly, the United States is again signaling that message of deterrence. In a way, this trip by President Biden is a show of confidence that President Biden is going to come while these warships are in the area. Threats have certainly been conveyed to Iran. But very differently in this case, in Russia, you only had one actor. You had Vladimir Putin, who's been in power for decades, who himself is a president and knows the risks of attacking another president. Here, you have 3 different actors. You have Hamas, Hezbollah, and Iran, and they're a lot less predictable.